It's a book about bookshops. In particular, it's about the role they played in the formation and circulation of networks of literary modernism. And I'm focusing on London because of the size of the trade and the variety of communities that existed at the time. And in particular, communities that seem to have direct attachment to specific bookshops. Well, the first decent job I ever had was at a bookshop in Buffalo, New York called Talking Leaves. It was an independent bookstore. I loved that shop. I loved having that job. I later worked at a friend's used bookshop, and in addition to that, I worked at a special collections library in Buffalo that had bookseller Sylvia Beach's archive, including all of the James Joyce materials that she salvaged during the war. So for me, booksellers were always a very relevant and central part of literary modernism. It's very palpable and real to me. So the interest was always there. When I was writing my dissertation, later my first book, I was writing about interwar literary journals, Contemporary Poetry and Prose, Left Review, New Verse, Wales. They all had some connection or were published from one street in London. And that always fascinated me that there was this place, this scene where all of this publication was happening. It was digging through those journals and learning about those connections that drew my interest to Parton Street and the bookseller David Archer. In the 1930s, Parton Street became a scene that attracted artists, writers, and political activists. At the heart of this scene was David Archer's bookshop. Among the more notable events, Archer published the first books of Dylan Thomas, George Barker, and David Gascoigne. Churchill's nephew, Esmond Romilly, ran away from boarding school and hid out at the bookshop, making national news. He had discovered Marxism and decided that the public schools were an evil that must be combated. The Scottsboro Boys Defense Committee was established at 4 Parton Street at the bookshop, along with many other committees and clubs throughout the 1930s. But beyond the notable events, the shop was a scene for regulars like Auden, Dylan Thomas, and that world. But also more recognized names like T. Lawrence and Alec Guinness, a very young Alec Guinness, were said to visit the shop regularly. So it was a scene that kind of enabled this sense of community in central London. More bookshops. As I indicate in my conclusion, there are several bookshops contemporaneous with David Archer's that are interesting. I'm going to dig into that a little bit more. And eventually I would like to look at the transatlantic trade some more.